The last couple of segments, we've talked a little bit about the election night. We've talked about opportunity zones, and also a listener question. Kyle from California has been having some trouble finding deals. And Greg, when you're looking at property, what's the avatar of the property you're looking for? Is it generally a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 200 square feet, or is it more in line with a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom? What's generally your avatar and why?
Yeah, 3-bedroom house. I like a 2-bathroom house, but doesn't have to be. 1.5 is okay. I'm actually way more. So the answer to the question is generic. A generic house, a typical house. I'm all about where more than what. Okay, so like we talked about the opportunity zones last segment. I'm buying in the opportunity zones. I'm going to buy a typical house in the neighborhood. I don't have to find a steal because I found a situation, right? Like a market that's going to be elevated because of all the increased demand. I'm very big into watching an influx of new employment. I love Amazon, who sort of telegraphs all their moves. Amazon is growing all over the place, and there's so many plays. We could talk about that in another segment. There are so many plays, or whatever you want,
Mm-hmm.
that Amazon creates because not just of their growth, and not just of the growth of their distribution centers or their corporate headquarters, but also in how they're changing the nature of retail and what that does to real estate. So I'm all about finding the where, and then I actually don't care that much about the what. Sounds crazy, but that's the way I do it.
Hey, that's fair. I don't think the what really matters. I do like 3 beds, 2 baths, but whatever's inside the house, it doesn't matter to me. The
A
location
single family
absolutely
home,
does.
though.
Yeah,
Single
of
family
course.
home is my favorite because and I like multifamily is great. Okay, there's other asset classes that work, but there's something special about single family, and that is that when the economy booms, home ownership increases, your home becomes more in demand and more valuable because of homeowners wanting it. If the economy goes the other direction, home ownership declines, your property gets more in demand for renters. And so you win either way. You've got good, no matter which way the wind blows in the economy, single family homes, because they have two purposes, a home for an occupant or a home for a tenant. You've got a fork in the road that's in front of you at all times.
That's right. Second question, Joshua from Albuquerque. That's a new one. We haven't gotten a question from New Mexico before. Question is because funding is an issue for me. I'm interested in partnering on a deal, but I don't really know how to do that. Who should I approach? How do we split the costs? Do you have any advice for partnering on the acquisition and rehab of a property?
Yeah, so the first thing I would ask Josh or Joshua is what value is he bringing to the situation? Meaning, which role is he going to play, right? So, for example, you've got the person who's going to find the deal, right? There are folks out there that have very well developed systems and put a lot of energy in play to find the distressed situation, to find a bank owned property, to find a property that somebody inherited and has not been repaired, and the person who inherited doesn't ever want to see it, doesn't care, just send me a wire, and I'll sell you the property for less than it's worth because I just inherited it. There are people that are behind on taxes. There are people that are going into foreclosure. They would love to be able to just get out and not deal with it. I'm not a big fan of finding somebody who's in a terribly desperate situation and trying to capitalize on it because I think way too many people um, just have to try to repeat that too often. You wind up spending all your time trying to find pain and misery and then capitalize on it, which ends up, being bad for your soul. But back to the key, the first role is who's going to find the under market deal. Okay. And I'll clarify, I'm not about that, but I know that people who do that, somebody has to find the under market deal. It's not going to be sitting on Zillow. Someone's got to go scratch and claw and find it. The second role maybe is the person who's going to do the rehab. So partnering with a actual construction company or contracting company that can fix the place at cost, do it very efficiently, take all the risk away of doing it poorly, unless of course you pick a bad partner and he does it poorly or she does it poorly. But the person who's going to fix the property super efficiently and super quickly can be a great partner. All right.
So here's a question to piggyback on that. You said if you pick the partner, if you pick your partner properly, how do you know if you haven't done any deals whether or not this partner is a good one or a bad one?
Yeah, I guess you check them out. I mean, you talk to, you just, I don't know, you do your research, right? If you're meeting somebody for the first time and you don't know them, you're taking a risk. So like take your time, right? The third category is the money man, all right? And them, if the check clears, that's all you really need to know about them, right? So you don't have to have a big background check on the money man if the money man has got the dough. And the partnership of the deal finder and the money man can work really well as long as the deal finder also knows how to get the place renovated quickly and on budget. So if Joshua can control finding the deal and turning it from a dilapidated house that's in distress to a pristine house that's either ready to be rented out or ready to be sold for a profit, then there are people out there that have money that will say, and the economics get split up different ways, but for a lot of folks, it's I'll put the 200 grand down and I want 40%, 60%, half of the upside. You find the deal, you run the deal, you turn it from closing A to closing B and a check, and I'll split the profits with you. That happens every day, but you got to be able to bring value to the transaction. If your idea is I'm going to get rich in real estate with none of my own money, none of my own expertise, but I have the idea of getting rich, you're not doing enough.
What if in this case, okay, so here's another kind of question. What if in this case Joshua said, all right, I want the majority of the deal, right? Because this is what's happening all across the country with new investors. I want the majority of the deal, and I want my operational partner to grab only 25%, right? I found the deal, I found the money, I found all of these things, but I've never done a deal before. I want to command the majority percentage. That's not really realistic.
Well, again, I would not have three partners. Okay, so your example there, you talked about the guy found the deal, executed the deal, found the money, and he needs an operational partner. Just hire an operational partner in that situation. If you've got the opportunity and you've got the money, then you hire a contractor to fix the house up. Get somebody you can rely on. There you check references. That's very easy to pick a vendor who's not in the deal. Okay. Now, because if you put three partners in, you're adding exponential variable and risk to a situation. That's just right. On personality conflict.
Yeah.
When you do that, so hire somebody you can fire or rehire. And then when it comes to the money man, that's a case by case thing. If you're really good, like if you genuinely can find houses that are worth 200 grand and you can secure them for 160 and get them rehabbed for 15 and realize that gain, and somebody's willing to put the money down to have you do that and then let you keep half or majority, more power to you. The other alternative there is, listen, if you can find the construction guy and you're the deal finding guy and you've got some of the money, which it sounds like Josh does, funding's an issue. He needs to find a partner. The partner could be a hard money lender. That means somebody who's going to loan you the money short term. You better be good at your part, because if you don't find a good enough deal to make a spread and you don't have good construction, you could wind up losing money. And those people want to get their money back in 6 months to a year. So that's another example of going to a third party vendor instead of a partner in the deal, but then they've got to get paid.
Yep, that is 110. Man, I love that you're answering these questions the exact same way I would answer these questions. I have nothing to add to that.
Genius. What are they? Great minds think alike, bro? Is that what they say?
I would think so. I like it. I would even, the only other thing that I would get in touch with Josh about is, listen, I mean, I understand that it's your first deal. There are a lot of numbers flying around, so make sure that your vocabulary is up to par. Right, you understand what you're paying attention to, you understand what you're looking at. You've driven around the neighborhood and you've done your homework, right? It's not just here's the answer. Show me the homework. Show me what you've done, and then let's see what we can do to make this deal a successful one.
One last thing for Josh. The other alternative is put off your acquisitions for 2 years and go pick up a second job, pick up another way to earn money, and stockpile your own resources so you can not need a partner. You can do it yourself.